When you think about most security systems, they're reactive, right? They go off when a window's already broken or a door's already wide open. But what if we could flip that on its head? What if your security could actually be proactive? What if it could feel trouble coming and give you a heads up before the real damage is done? Well, today, that's exactly what we're going to explore. A totally different way of thinking about staying safe.
So, let's talk home security. What's the first thing that pops into your head? Probably things like strong doors, maybe some reinforced windows, or even a high-tech camera system. But what if the biggest, most overlooked weak spot is the one thing we use every single day?
All right, check this out. 85%. Just let that number hang in the air for a second. It's a massive, massive majority, and it points directly to one very specific vulnerability in most of our security plans.
So, what's the story behind that big number? Well, according to the research we're looking at, that's the percentage of criminals who target the main gate as their go-to way in. I mean, they might try to mess with the motor or force the gate right off its tracks. Either way, it's their #1 target.
Okay, so that leads us to the big question, doesn't it? If the front gate is where you're most vulnerable, how on earth do you get ahead of the problem? How do you stop reacting to a break-in and start actually preventing one from happening in the first place?
And the answer, it's actually pretty simple. It's kind of brilliant, really. It's not about adding more cameras or bigger, scarier locks. It's about sensing the one tiny thing that comes before every single physical break-in attempt: vibration.
And this little guy is what makes it all happen. This is the V-Alarm. It's a vibration detection module, and it's built on one incredibly powerful idea: stopping a break-in before it even really begins, just by detecting that first unwanted touch.
This is where we get to the core idea: tamper detection. See, this isn't just another alarm that tells you something bad has already happened. Nope. This is an early warning system. It's designed to literally feel someone rattling your gate, trying to pry open a power box, or messing with your gate motor, and it sounds the alarm right then and there.
And how it works? It's just beautifully simple. First, its sensor feels a vibration that's stronger than it should be. The moment that happens, step 2, it triggers an alarm, like a siren. And then, step 3, it can send out an alert to your main security system or a transmitter, letting you or your security company know what's up. Detect, trigger, alert. That's it. So simple, so effective.
But here's where things get really cool. It's not just about what this thing does. It's about all the different places you can put it. We're not just talking about defending one single spot. We're talking about building a whole web of protection. This picture right here, it really paints a clear image of what we're talking about. The V-Alarm isn't just for your front gate. You can stick this thing on almost any asset you want to keep safe, creating all these different layers of early detection. And when you look at where you can use it, it's all super practical stuff. Of course, there's the gate and its motor, but think about it. High-value things like solar panels, they get stolen all the time. You can put it on security gates, garage doors, power boxes. Heck, you could even secure something as vital as a gun safe. What's great is how well this idea scales up. On one hand, you see it being used in homes and for commercial properties, protecting the storefront. But then on the other side, you see it being used to protect business assets, like mobile shops or even those big shipping containers. It's the exact same tech, just in a totally different setting.
And believe it or not, it goes even bigger than that. From protecting business assets, we can scale all the way up to securing critical infrastructure. We're talking about the same little vibration sensor that protects your garage, now being used to protect huge telecom towers and vital equipment cabinets from being messed with.
Okay, so we've talked a lot about stopping someone from physically breaking in. But what about those threats that aren't so physical? There's another modern problem that can mess with your security and your whole day, and it has nothing to do with vibration.
Yeah, I'm talking about when the power just cuts out. For anyone who's dealt with citywide power cuts, or load shedding as it's often called, you know what a massive headache it can be. It can knock out your security systems and affect literally everything from your fridge to your business operations.
Well, for that exact problem, there's another smart little device, the ESP Power Alarm. Its job is incredibly simple: give you an immediate, audible warning about what your main power supply is doing.
But here's the really clever bit. It's not just a one-trick pony. It doesn't just tell you when the power's out. It also tells you when it's back on. An alarm sounds again. And that's huge, right? It lets you know when it's time to fire up the generator, but just as important, it lets you know when things are back to normal.
So let's zoom out a bit. When you put all these pieces together, what's the real takeaway here? It's all about building a proactive security shield. It's a fundamental shift, really. You're moving away from cleaning up a mess and moving toward the peace of mind that comes from stopping that mess from ever happening.
It really boils down to a few key benefits. You get true early warning detection. The devices are ridiculously versatile. You can use them for dozens of things. They can plug right into security systems you might already have, or they can work all by themselves with just a siren. And maybe best of all, they're designed to be affordable and really easy to install.
You know, there's a quote from the actual V-Alarm manual that I think just nails the whole philosophy here. Security isn't something you just set up and forget about. Being proactive means staying engaged and having tools you can actually rely on. Tools that are working for you before trouble ever has a chance to strike.
So I'll leave you with this one last thought to chew on. Take a hard look at your own setup. Is it just waiting around to report a disaster after the fact? Or is it actively out there on the front lines working to prevent one from ever happening at all?